Hello, and welcome to the Innovation Challenge Hackathon. I'm Matt Calder, and I've got with me Lydia Smyers, Vice President of Azure, and specifically the U.S. Education Operating Unit, as well as Tisha Wynn, who is very involved in a few different key initiatives at Microsoft, including Blacks at Microsoft. And she is an account executive who works with some of our top customers and been a huge supporter. I'm going to start off with just a few opening remarks, and then we'll turn it over to our guests to say a little more. So first of all, congratulations on the work that you all did to get this far. There were 3,000 people that started the learning journey that you are on. And so far, we've got about 103 people participating in the hackathon. So it was a big deal to get where you got. People spent probably 40 hours on Microsoft Learn, another 10 hours doing labs, and then actually sitting for the exam, which is stressful and not fun. But it's valuable. Those credentials will help you open up new opportunities. And also, I think that what we're doing over the next couple of weeks, where we're actually getting hands-on to build with Microsoft Azure, will help a lot. We'll be giving away prizes, $10,000 for the winning team. And we will also, this is an opportunity for Microsoft to kind of see what you can do. We're kind of, we'll be hiring out of this pool of people hacking, hopefully. We want to meet you. We want to see the talent that is out there. And also, we want you to learn. Whether you win the prize or not, you are going to at least have great stories you can tell at your next interview. You will have things you can show on GitHub that you have done. Having the certification is awesome, but being able to say, this is what I've done in an environment where I've worked with other people and learned is really important. Microsoft has a culture of learning and hacking. And this is actually my t-shirt from the 2017 one-week hackathon at Microsoft. A lot of us got together in a big tent, tens of thousands of us actually, and built stuff for a couple weeks. In terms of how things are going to work, you do need to be competing in teams of at least 2. 5 is recommended. Many of you have already been matched up by the organizations that you trained with, but otherwise, there's lots of opportunities to connect. I'm going to put the link into, so go ahead and share my screen and then show you how to find it too when I put the link in here. Share my entire screen. So here you go. If you go to the discussion board, you can find a link there. This is a great place to connect with everyone else and meet other people. If you're looking for a team, if you want to share your project, if you just want to connect with others, please do. Also, just a few notes about the hackathon, the Hackbox platform. It's a platform that was built to showcase innovation at Microsoft to help us connect with each other. And so use it to find other people, use it to find other projects. What you need to do to get started on the hackathon is go in, get your team together, start with a project. You need to create the project. You can do it up there. Oh, I haven't registered in this account yet. Got to register first. Explore the executive challenges. These are the problems we'll be solving for. Huge thanks to Pitney Bowes for putting this one out there. Create an easier shipping application. They've actually got this device, the Pitney Cube, which you should check out. One thing they're really interested in seeing is whether or not someone can build something that can see the dimensions of the package just from a photo. That would make things a lot easier for everyone. Also want to shout out to Women in Cloud, both for getting several teams here prepared, but also for their hack for LinkedIn for professional networking. So you pick the challenges, you get together with your team, and then you start hacking. And that's going to be it from me for now. And I want to turn this over to Lydia, and I'll go ahead and read her full introduction. She's currently serving as a vice president of U.S. Education for Microsoft. She oversees sales teams that foster the adoption and sales of Microsoft solution in K-12 and higher education institutions, as well as academic medical centers. Your leadership has been pivotal in aiding educators and institutions in leveraging technology to nurture student skills in collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. The rich history of impactful roles at Microsoft and other companies, Lydia has led the education operating unit for 2 years, achieving remarkable success, nurturing talent, and reinforcing Microsoft's role as a trusted education sector partner. Known for her innovative strategies, particularly in integrating AI with education, Lydia is set to lead the Northwest operating unit starting in July. So thank you for taking the time with us today, Lydia.
Oh, Matt, hey, thanks a ton. Appreciate that introduction. And thanks for the great tips on using the Hackbox platform. And so thanks to you and thanks to Tisha for just inviting me here just for a few minutes to just offer a couple kickoff words here at Microsoft's Innovation Challenge Hackathon. First of all, I love hackathons. So those of you who've made it to this stage, like, get ready. The next 2 weeks are going to be so much fun, full of some awesome challenges. I have participated in probably about 4 or 5 hackathons of our Microsoft's annual hackathon in my sort of 10-year career here at the company. And I'll tell you, every year that I participate, I learn so much. And Matt, to your point, these are great experiences that you get to package up and tell into stories with interviews, build on these learning lessons throughout your entire career. And so I just want to thank the Blackstone Technology Foundation, who's sponsoring this event. I also want to just congratulate each one of you, because if you're here today, this means you've become certified in 6 of our premier Azure certifications. And so that's awesome, because these are certifications you're hopefully publishing onto your LinkedIn profile and using to help you identify places where you can put your skills to use. And in fact, we've seen that the data tells us here at Microsoft that when you actually publish your certification to your LinkedIn profile, the odds are increased that you're going to get requests to apply for jobs that you didn't even know existed. So kind of keep it up. This hackathon, as Matt mentioned, is completely part of our culture here at Microsoft. We believe in the growth mindset. We're committed to learning by doing. And as someone who's always been into technology and science, I love how these innovation challenges just bring out the best of our creative thinking, because we really see this having good skills to help us ready to tackle some of the real world AI challenges that we face these days in our professional setting, in our work setting, and honestly, even as consumers. And so, speaking of technology and AI innovations, I'm just wondering, did anyone catch Microsoft Build last week? Pop into the chat if you happen to. If you didn't go there, everything's on demand, Microsoft.com/build. But it's our annual flagship event for hackers, developers. It was last week. We made over 65 announcements, ranging from the latest AI features for Windows to expansion of our Copilot strategy and a ton of new tools for developers with GitHub. So if you're here today, you probably like GitHub. And so some awesome innovations that are coming through Build's announcement. And so while we're here today, I also thought we'd share some fun facts, because it was about this week, 25 years ago, that was the anniversary of the very, very first hackathon ever. Does anyone know, like by chance, maybe what the hackathon was about? It's kind of obscure, but I mean, it's kind of cool. Like,
I'm stumped.
Yeah. Well, 25 years ago, OpenBSD brought folks together and to hack around the US regarding US crypto laws. And that's super cool, because security is a true challenge for us today. And it's neat to see that, hey, the skills that those folks used back 25 years ago, are resonant and applicable today. So what you're doing today with AI, I'm sure is going to serve you well in your future.
That's a very cool story.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, AI, it's not just a buzzword anymore, honestly, right? It's a reality. It's completely reshaping how we're working in 2024. And we've done some studies. We'd love to hear how you are seeing AI change your jobs. So pop into the chat. I'm seeing some folks with some chat contributions, which is awesome. But maybe a couple quick ads around how AI is making a difference in your work. I love seeing some folks that Copilot was a big star there. Everyone was talking about build. So cool. Well, because AI is certainly helping me. It's helping me write my emails. It's helping me sort of edit the notes that I take on some phone calls. But I'll tell you, we do some studies on this. We do some primary studies. Microsoft has seen, according to our 2024 Work Trend Index report, that 75% of global knowledge workers are now using AI at work. And a whopping 90% of them report that AI is saving them time. Over 85% says AI helps them concentrate. 84% says that it helps them be more creative. I mean, this is just real value of AI. And so we're at the toughest part of any technology revolution right now. How do we move from playing around with new tools to truly transforming how we're doing business? So I just really want to say, as you dive into this hackathon over the next 2 weeks, remember, you're not just developing solutions. Honestly, you're shaping the future of how businesses are thriving in this AI world. So your impact is truly real. I'll also just say, we've talked a lot about AI in the workforce, but we're not just participants in this tech evolution, we are shaping it. And when we think about what you're doing here at Microsoft, our mission is to empower. It's to empower every person and every organization on the planet, around the globe, to achieve more. And I see that we've got a lot of folks from across the globe here today, which is fantastic. At Microsoft, honestly, we recognize that diversity fuels innovation, and that inclusion is actually the catalyst for growth of all organizations, because when we represent the world, we can build products that help the world. We also acknowledge that historically marginalized communities, including people of color, women, Black individuals, have been very underrepresented in technology fields. And at Microsoft, we believe that empowering every individual, all the tools, all the resources that are needed for success in technology, when we do that, we can build a more diverse and inclusive industry and achieve better results for all. So at Microsoft, to accomplish these goals, we actually have a huge commitment to what's called the Employee Resource Groups. We also call them ERGs, and sometimes people will be referring them to as ERGs. But honestly, these are communities that are across Microsoft and across organizational boundaries to enrich experiences here at Microsoft. We have ERGs for women. We have ERGs for families. We have an ERG called Blacks at Microsoft. It's a really exciting time. We have over 30, I believe, ERGs. And really, I want to take the opportunity now to pass it to my good friend, partner, and collaborator, Tisha Wen, who is on the executive committee for one of these ERGs worldwide, and can share a little bit about how Microsoft is committed to these employee resource groups and really what's it like here at our culture. So Tisha, thanks a ton. I'm going to pass it over to you. To everybody who's participating, just have a great time at this hackathon. Appreciate you all leaning in and making a difference today.
Thank you, Lydia. So good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. My name is Tisha Wen, and in addition to being the chairwoman for Blacks at Microsoft ERG that Lydia just spoke about, I am also an ATU manager, an account team unit manager for the Northeast region of the United States. First of all, Lydia, hats off to you. Thank you so very much for leaning in and being here with us to have a vice president kick this off with us. We are super excited and we are ready to go. So I saw some participants say they're from Mexico, Colombia, Bolivia. Please put in the chat window where you're from. Your ears are not deceiving you. You are hearing an accent. I was born and raised in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, and familiar with multiple languages and cultures. So I love seeing all the countries that people are joining us from this morning. In addition, I want you to know you're really special to me because I wore my hackathon jacket for you today with a bunch of hacks on it just for you. So my journey with hackathon first. I had no clue what a hackathon was until I met somebody you just met. Her name is Lydia Smyers. See, we were in a room together and she was like, oh, the garage is having an hackathon. The garage is a space that we have at Microsoft where employees can lean in to create, innovate, express yourselves, things like that. And Lydia and I will often lean into those spaces and she goes, hey, you should sign up for the hackathon. You should have a team. And I was like, Lydia always have really great ideas. That's why she's a VP. And I was like, oh, I'm going to sign up for this hackathon. And we signed up for the hackathon and we got a team together and we got it rolling. I would also like to thank, I'm in the ATU, which is the account side of it. I have colleagues who are in the STU and the CSU side of the company here with me. Andy Kerr, the GM for Azure. In the Northeast, I really want to shout out to you and thank you for being here, as well as the CSAM organization and their managerial staff as well. The ATU, STU, and CSU coming together for this hackathon and hacking for one of the customers in my patch, Pitney Bowes. We are super excited, super excited. The ATS is in my ATU. Harry, Kat, Paul, let's go get it. Let's go get it. It's our turn. It's our time. Let's talk about ERGs. So I had no idea what ERGs were until I met this woman who told me about it. And guess what her name was? Lydia Smyers. She was like, you know what, Tisha? We have this thing called ERGs here at Microsoft. I think you should get involved. When I got involved in ERGs, it allowed me to stay true to my true, authentic self. Microsoft is a big, huge company. I am a woman of color with an accent who is an immigrant and now live in the United States. I have a unique set of criterion that makes me who I am for me to be comfortable. On top of that, I am married to a handsome Vietnamese man. So I am totally intercultural all the way around. There is really only one me. Trust and believe that. In ERG, I was honestly able to find that space and place where I could find my voice and be me. I am this joyous and peaceful all day long. Ask the people who work on a team with me. ERGs fuel me to do my day job as an ATU manager very well and exceed ambitious goals. In an ERG, I can make impact. For example, when I was on the EDU team, I made impact relating to progressing STEM and STEM learning for students. In my role now as BAM chairperson, I make impact relating to offering certifications and exams to communities like yourself to get skilled up so Microsoft has a bigger hiring pool to consider communities of color. I feel like I am impacting the world and making change in my day job. And that's part of the legacy that I wish to leave behind for my destiny. And ERGs allow me to do that. Yes, I'm chairwoman of the BAM CAPS ERG, that's Blacks at Microsoft. However, I joined the Asian ERG calls, especially during the dumpling making sessions for the Chinese New Year. Those calls are phenomenal. Also on this line, we have the OLA ERG represented. I joined their calls for Cinco de Mayo and other festivals as well that I enjoy. So I want to encourage you. You have started your journey, as Lydia pointed out. Congratulations on that. Please take the next step, hack with our customers. After that, take the invitation to apply. There is a place for you here at Microsoft for you to belong and be your true authentic self. While you do your day job, you can be part of an ERG in any capacity you choose. Even if you don't identify as that ERG, you can still lean in to learn more about them, to contribute, so that you become a whole person. It makes a huge difference. Then you'll be showing up on calls like me, super excited, super happy, and make an impact. Matthew, if we have any questions for Lydia and I, we can take them now.
A lot of comments, a lot of enthusiasm. I didn't see any specific questions. It looks like John is here, but it's got to get his camera set up. So we've got a couple minutes with you still.
Well,
oh, there he is.
Okay.
So this is interesting. Today I had my first interview with visually impaired individuals, gather insights and create a real solution that can benefit many people with disabilities. Very excited to be part of this. That's awesome. I think the couple things that I want to call out, this is about inclusivity, and inclusion is one of the key pillars of our responsible AI standard. And 25% of the score on your final project will be whether or not you took the responsible AI standard into consideration and how you applied it in your project. On Thursday, we will have a conversation with my colleague Lucho, who'll be talking about the responsible AI standard. And I've also got some resources in that GitHub discussion board if you want to learn more about it. And then the other thing I want to call out is at 3 o'clock Pacific today, Lydia had been talking about using AI in everything we do. GitHub Copilot is a great tool if you're learning how to code on a new topic, a new project. Go ahead and just load one of the executive challenges into GitHub Copilot, see what it tells you to do. Ray Cow from our Global Black Belt team will be talking a little bit more about that this afternoon. How do you suggest we create our presentation video for our prototype? It's just a general question. I guess for me, I'll take that one. There's the tool I use for video editing. It's used to have Windows Movie Maker, but now I think it's Clipchamp. Feel free to send me email directly, MACALDE @Microsoft.com, and I can help you with video editing tips. Happy to do that. So, but Lydia and Tisha, do you guys want to hang out with us while we listen to John talk about how a cloud solution architect approaches a hackathon?
Sounds great.
Cool.
Sure.
John, thank you for joining us. Do you want me to pull up your slides or? Oh, you're muted. Does your microphone have access?
You know what?
There you are.
If you have an extra mute button, you always forget to press it at the right time. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. But yeah, if you've got the slides to hand, Matt, to pull up, that'd be helpful. And while you're doing that, I can maybe just introduce myself to the audience here.
Sure.
So, hey, everybody. John de Havilland. I lead a group of cloud architects here at Microsoft as part of our Northeast region. I've been at Microsoft for about 10 years. And prior to that, spent a lot of time in software development. So my entire career has been in some way, shape, or form, coding or writing code or building applications in various ways, shapes, or forms. My first language that I started with was Visual Basic many years ago, which was super cool, and continued to kind of build on that love back when I first wrote my first very small, very amateur program. I think I must have been 14 or 15 at the time, using Visual Basic to put together some components. Which was mind-blowing for me at the time, and then it kind of sparked an interest that allowed me to just kind of pursue that throughout the rest of my career here, and moved into kind of bigger, more enterprise-focused languages like Java and then C#, and most recently, especially with the advent of AI, a lot of focus in Python and JavaScript as well. And I feel like For developers, the world has really expanded. The ability for you to be kind of building and changing things materially has been awesome. And the tools are available with the advent of the cloud, and most recently this past year or so with the advent of AI. The landscape and future for developers has never been brighter, and so excited to kind of just share a few kind of things to think about as you're hacking over the next couple of weeks here. Some of the best practices I've seen helping run and be part of different hackathons, and to touch on a little bit about how you can think about the AI innovation to spearhead some of that, because I think with AI as developers, it's going to supercharge a lot of what we're doing. And so tapping into some of this would be phenomenal. So I guess just Matt, on that first slide, if you want to just go back a couple here, I can just touch on a little bit around Microsoft's AI innovation. And I think from a developer perspective, Matt alluded to this with GitHub Copilot, but just as a developer, I'd say this is a space, if you're leaning into AI, not just in terms of building intelligent apps, but how are you using AI to help be your true Copilot, to sit alongside you, to help you be more successful, to build those apps quicker and more efficiently, to help you figure out gnarly problems that maybe would have spent a long time potentially searching around for answers, tapping into the power of AI to kind of help you find those quicker, more efficiently. And also new ways of doing things. We had a cloud architect the other day show me something super cool where they were working with on a particularly challenging problem around optimizing some code, where a customer had written some code and they'd partner with them to help them write it. And it was taking a long time to perform certain actions at scale. And they were able to use AI to identify a space where there was a performance challenge in that code. And it also made recommendations to change that code to a much more performant approach. And they went from taking 2 or 3 minutes to run per execution down to 10 seconds to run that same execution. So mind-blowing performance improvements, and AI was able to fast track a lot of that learning there. So just super cool ways people are tapping into it from a developer perspective. So as Matt said, Microsoft, we've been fueling innovation in the AI space, and we've seen that rapid advancement over the past year or so, and developers, I think, are at the forefront of that. And so I'd say, as part of your hackathon here, definitely lean into the power of the AI tools, not just in terms of kind of infusing AI into the applications you build, but also using them to help you build the applications. I think it's super powerful. And then thinking about how to do that in the right way, most efficiently as well. And then if we move to the next slide here, Matt, I think this is super important, right? If we're infusing and building intelligent apps as part of the hackathon, I'd say really think about how is AI going to be used within the context of what you're kind of putting together, and how are you thinking about it from a responsible lens too? And Microsoft has a whole bunch of principles around responsible AI, which I think is a really good framework to think about the different lenses of responsibility from an AI perspective. And as developers, it's one of those things we can go build and infuse apps with intelligence, but how do we also then ensure that our users are protected, and also that the AI and the tools we put out there are set in a way that are responsible, right? And we're not putting something out into the wild that could end up being abused in ways, shapes, or forms that we didn't think of. And so we provide a bunch of tooling to tap into that, but at least thinking about this framework as a way to think about the projects you're building. Are they thinking about these different elements from an AI perspective? If there's AI in your apps, are we looking at these different lenses? And so I'd say use this as a grounding piece as you're thinking about your projects. Are you at least thinking about these elements? You don't necessarily have to solve them all, but at least you've got a point of view around this, and ways as you build and take your projects further forward, you're kind of factoring in these different principles here, which I think are a really good grounding for responsible AI. So if we move to the kind of next slide, I think I've got some tips I want to share around successful hacking. And there's no right or wrong from a hackathon perspective or how to do it correctly. There's myriad different ways to approach hacking, and I've seen many different teams and work in many different ways, shapes, or forms. But there's some key things that often are successful if you think about kind of how to kind of really approach this in the right way to really have the best experience, and also to have fun as part of this. So first of all, I think hacking is a team sport, and you'll all be, I believe, hacking together as teams on a specific project. And so look to leverage your whole team as part of that. Every person probably brings a different set of skills to the table as part of the hackathon team. And so figure out where people are going to provide the most value. Also, where do people have passion? Right. I think one of the nice things about hackathons is you could come to the table with, maybe you're not an expert in a certain area, but it's a passion area of yours. And so maybe the hackathon's a good venue for you to kind of lean in and maybe be uncomfortable a little bit, but learn as you go. And because it's part of the hackathon, your team can support you in that. And so marrying up where people have got passions, where they've got expertise, where they've got willingness to learn, I think about where different people can play across the team. And then kind of split up the work, right? I mean, you've got an opportunity of amazing individuals together. Who's going to be doing what to kind of hit the end journey? And then I really love this bullet around don't be afraid to fail. I think if you don't fail, you're never learning. And I think one of the nice things about software development, especially with the tools and with the things we have today, we can fail fast as well. And so you can try things out, you can take risks, see what works, see what doesn't. And ultimately, there's going to be a path to success that you'll kind of gravitate towards, but that's always going to evolve. And if any of you have done development in the past, it's a never-ending journey. We're never done. There's always more to be done. And so I'd say don't be afraid to fail. Think of it as a part of the learning journey here. This fourth bullet around the focusing on the success criteria, I think this is important and something I always coach all of my hackathon teams that I work with. You're building a project, you've got a short amount of time to achieve what you want to achieve towards that project, and it's very easy to get lost in various different details that results in you losing time to really make material progress forward. So definitely be mindful from a time management perspective in terms of what are you trying to achieve, what's the limited pieces of things you need to go build or do to get to that, to get as quick as possible to the outcome of the success criteria you're looking to solve. And maybe make note of things you want to go build after the fact that need to be done. But don't necessarily think you have to solve all of the problems within the short time frame you have. It's time constrained. And so I'd say you got to think about in the beginning as you're planning, what's your focus and what do you need to focus on specifically to be successful at the end with the kind of success criteria you've set for yourselves. And also don't spend inordinate amount of time on the planning. It's very easy to spend, you've got time ahead of you. You spend too much time on planning and then things actually end up not getting done. And so, moving towards a bias action is critical for success as well. And keep each other accountable. Definitely challenge where you think something could be maybe something you could do after the fact and maybe it takes away from the core mission that you're trying to do. Have those discussions. And then finally, engagement's always important. And if this is virtual, having your mic on and video on helps bring a human element to this that if you didn't, kind of reduces that. And obviously there's always times to step away and be able to turn that off if you want to as well. But the more you can kind of be present and engaged, I think it will help, especially in a virtual setting. And so I would ask you to think about how as a team you're showing up and championing each other to keep engaged over the course of the hackathon here. And it's not on here, but the final thing I'll say is, look, have fun. The key part of these things is learning experience, building experience, but also are you enjoying yourselves? Are you having fun? And if you're not, I think I challenge you to think about how you can make this enjoyable for yourselves to really kind of not only do something amazing, but also have fun while doing it. So Matt, that kind of wraps up kind of my hackathon tips here. Happy to take questions or other things.
I think one thing I'll say is that both to the point of not being afraid to fail and being mindful of time. About back in February when I was asked to do this project, I was talking to my manager's manager, my skip level, and explaining it to him. And I said, I'm probably going to fail. This is really hard. And he said, no, you're not going to fail. And he's like, at Microsoft, we do things best when we've got serious time constraints. And
it's very, very true.
That was the challenge, right? The February is like, hey, you got to have this happen in May. I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's 2 weeks is almost too long for a hackathon. I kind of wanted to keep it down to just 2 days to really focus you all. But again, you've got to make it fun and got to have enough time to learn and not be pressured. But a lot of times in a professional environment, in an enterprise environment, you just don't have time. And so you have to focus. And so it's just one of the things you'll be learning, during this experience. So I think with that, I've been answering questions in chat. I think in the meantime, anyone that wants to have more questions and just reach out, you can always reach me, MACALDE @Microsoft.com. I don't hide from customers. And I love problems I can solve. So do feel free to reach out to me. And thank you to all of our guests and for your support in this project. It's been valuable for me, and it's going to be really valuable for everyone who's hacking. So Thanks to everybody.
Awesome. Best of luck all.
Thank you. Happy hacking.